The mirror in the forest. Ethan was an ambitious man. He lived for success, status, and the next big thing. A high-powered corporate job, a sleek apartment, and an enviable social life made up his carefully curated world. But as the months turned into years, an unspoken emptiness began gnawing at the edges of his consciousness. Ethan brushed it off. He didn't have time for such distractions. One crisp autumn morning, Ethan found himself on a rare day off. A friend had recommended a secluded hiking trail outside the city, and on a whim, Ethan decided to try it. A solitary walk in nature seemed almost absurd to him. There were no deals to close, no metrics to measure success, but something drew him there. The trail was quiet, carpeted with orange and golden leaves. The air was sharp, filled with the earthy scent of damp soil and wood. Ethan walked briskly at first, but the solitude slowed his pace. With no notifications or deadlines vying for his attention, he started noticing things he'd overlooked for years. The gentle rustle of leaves, the intricate patterns on tree bark, the faraway sound of a babbling brook. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the path led him to a small clearing. In the center stood an ancient, weathered mirror, framed by ornate carvings of vines and flowers. The mirror seemed out of place, like something from a fairy tale. Yet it was undisturbed and pristine. Curiosity drew Ethan closer. The mirror reflected not just his physical image, but something more. His suit jacket looked crumpled, his face a little older, wearier than he cared to admit. But what caught his attention was his own eyes. They seemed to hold a flicker of sadness he didn't recognize. A soft voice broke the silence. "What do you see?" Startled, Ethan turned to find an elderly woman sitting on a moss-covered rock. Her eyes twinkled like she knew the answer to every question before it was asked. "I see myself," Ethan replied. "Look again," she said, gesturing toward the mirror. Ethan frowned and turned back. This time the reflection shifted. He saw himself as a child, playing with a box of crayons, scribbling wildly on a sheet of paper. He saw his teenage self, strumming a guitar with unpolished enthusiasm. Then came his younger adult self, hunched over a laptop, the glow of ambition in his eyes. The scene shifted again. Ethan saw his parents, who had long since passed away, cheering at his high school graduation. He saw friends he hadn't spoken to in years, their laughter ringing out in memories. And then he saw himself, alone in his apartment, staring blankly at a spreadsheet as the city buzzed beyond his window. The woman's voice broke through his reverie. "Do you see it now?" Ethan's throat tightened. "I see pieces of myself, but I don't know what they mean." "They mean you've been chasing shadows," she said gently. "You've built a life of achievements but forgotten to live. The child who loved to draw, the teen who dreamed in music, the young man who cherished connection, they're still in you, but you've silenced them." Her words struck a chord Ethan didn't know existed. He had always thought success was about climbing higher, doing more, and earning admiration. But now, for the first time, he wondered if he had been climbing the wrong mountain. "What should I do?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Listen to the echoes of who you were," she replied. "Rekindle the parts of yourself you've ignored. And remember, the world offers more than trophies and titles. It offers sunsets and laughter, kindness and love. But you must choose to see them." Ethan blinked, and the woman was gone. The clearing felt different now, brighter, warmer, as if the forest itself had exhaled. The mirror remained, but its surface was blank, reflecting only the sky. Ethan walked back to the trailhead, his steps lighter than they'd been in years. He didn't check his phone or think about the emails waiting for him. For the first time in a long while, he felt alive. In the weeks that followed, Ethan made changes, small at first, then monumental. He called old friends and reconnected with his family. He dusted off his guitar and played without caring how it sounded. He even started painting again, letting colors splash freely across the canvas. His job, once the center of his world, became just a part of it. He still worked hard but set boundaries, carving out time for the things that truly mattered. And as he embraced these changes, the emptiness that had haunted him began to fade. Ethan never returned to the forest. He didn't need to. The mirror's lesson stayed with him, a quiet reminder that life isn't just about what you accomplish. It's about who you are, the memories you make, and the joy you find in simply being. And so, Ethan walked forward, not with the relentless drive of a man chasing success, but with the steady, contented stride of someone who had finally learned how to live.